Okay, um, an idea that I strongly disagree with, that first came to mind, was that human morality is inherently religious, right? Our sense of morality comes from religion, and without religion or some belief in a higher power or some structure, we lose our morality. Um, or like yeah, just the fact that humans don't inherently know what's right and wrong. And I've felt this way probably since I was 12 or 13. I think that's when the idea cemented within me. Um, and the influences that led to that in my life was really critical thinking, and in particular, induction, induction and grouping, kind of in one, and then synthesis along with that. Right, I was taking in this new information, learning about myself, learning what my beliefs are, but then at that same time, as I'm growing and synthesizing, I also um, am taking that information that I'm learning and grouping people and generalizing people and saying, well, which group do I fit in, right? So the induction comes from, sorry, I'm getting Teams messages. The induction comes from generalizing people around me and their belief systems, right? And then grouping them into systems. And then the synthesis and the new information I'm taking in, fitting myself into a group. Um, and I think that is kind of what led me to that position. Is I grouped myself into a section really early on in life that made sense for me and that I believed in. And I just knew I wasn't very religious from a really young age, and that played a role. How does the media present this issue? It's kind of a hot button issue, and it's portrayed in a million different ways just based off where you're looking, right? If you go onto Instagram or social media, you're going to get very personalized messages from each person and their belief based off of who they are. I think mass media doesn't talk about this particular issue a lot unless they are inherently religious, right? Or anti religion. And those are the only real people that are portraying this issue. But I think that often morality is considered religious. I think just generalized by the public, not even pushed by mass media. And does the media align with your stance or the opposition? I don't know if. I think that for the most part, they agree with me. Um, I think that the generalizations that I made early on, that you have to not be religious to believe this thing that I believe, was wrong. I think that there's a lot of religious people who think that their morality does not come from their belief. It just comes from them inherently knowing what's right and wrong. And come up with the strongest possible argument. Um, I think that one of the strongest arguments you could make is that we don't have a really good way to test that, right? I think that so many people, you can tie somebody in your family tree back to religion, and so you can always just say, well, even if your family line, you come from a line of people who have never been religious or are agnostic in some way, if you have somebody religious in your line, they could always come back and say, that was passed down to you from somebody who was religious, right? Somebody taught you because they had religion as their structure. Um, and then the other one that that came to mind is that I mean another big part of it is that because religion is so prominent, um, you can be getting that morality or that sense of morality secondhand, right? Just the building blocks of what is going on in the world, um, and the beliefs of other people of all different religions are so similar that you could say, well, because everything is already set up that way, your morality is decided by the religions around you, which I think is another fair argument.